What's up guys, it's Rishi from Prillo, and in this video, I'm doing a mock role play for Principles of Business Management and Administration with the instructional area of economics. And this is just to support you guys in going to ICDC this year. Here on the screen right now is the context of the role play that I'll be presenting, which includes a scenario. And then on this side right here, you can see the notes that I'm going to be using to conduct this presentation. Good afternoon, John. Thank you so much for meeting with me today to discuss why the leasing rate has been changing and what are the factors that actually influence these changes in the first place. Now, given our extensive history inside this industry, we've seen firsthand over the past 40 years how these several factors have caused fluctuations in the leasing rate itself. And I'd be more than happy to share that with you today. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is the difference between economic goods and economic services. So economic goods are physical products that have value and can be owned in a tangible manner, while economic services are intangible benefits or activities that can be conducted for a business without the transfer of physical ownership. Now here at Rodriguez Management, we offer both economic goods and economic services. In terms of economic goods, we offer commercial space and the physical property that businesses can lease out to host their operations. And this includes office space. This also includes warehouses and factories for the production of the product that the business is producing. Now we also offer services here, and this includes property management and maintenance services to upkeep the properties that we are leasing out for our clients. This also includes, lease structuring solutions that we offer, which is just customizing lease agreements for our businesses based on their financial and operational goals. Now, I also want to go into the principles of supply and demand, and I can show this to you through a graph. So the first thing is supply is the amount of product that a supplier is willing to produce and put towards the market at a given price. And demand is the amount of product that a consumer is willing to buy at any given price. Right? So at this point where the supply and demand curves meet, that's called the equilibrium, which creates the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. For this graph, which has the quantity being the amount of available commercial space, and the price being price per square foot. Now, we also want to explore how demand and supply shifts can influence the quantity demanded and the quantity equilibrium and the price at equilibrium. For example, if the demand curve shifts because an increase of business confidence, for example, this causes the quantity demanded at every given price to increase, which leads to a higher intersection on the supply curve and a overall higher quantity equilibrium and equilibrium price. Now, let's say there was an opposite effect in which the demand fell down due to less business confidence. That would just create a lower equilibrium price and lower equilibrium quantity. Now, let's say that the supply curve changed, and that's due to less competitors in the space of supplying available commercial space. That causes the supply curve to shift to the left, increasing the price, but decreasing the quantity of available commercial space. And let's say more competitors entered the space, then the supply curve would shift to the right, and then there would be more quantity available space, and the price would go down. Now, what are the factors that actually shift the demand curve and the supply curve? In general, this refers to tastes, related goods like substitutes and complements for the demand curve, the income of the actual consumers, then the number of consumers in the market, and expectations for the future. Then in terms of supply, some shifters include technology in the modern technology, then related prices, input prices in production, competition in the market, and then expectations for the future as well. Now, the next thing that I want to go over are factors that affect the business environment. So in general, this includes politics, the economic state, then new technology innovations in the market, and also social trends that dictate the business environment. And so leasing rates are very much dependent on the business environment and the factors that affect the business environment as well. And this includes, market conditions and economic trends. Let's say the economy is doing very good right now, and then businesses have a lot of confidence in purchasing commercial space for their operations. This would again cause the demand curve to increase, and there would be a lot more demand for commercial space, and lease rates would end up rising as a result. And again, let's say there is a recession or something, then what would happen is that the leasing rate would go down because less people are confident in purchasing commercial space for their business. Now there's also inflation and the cost of maintenance. Property upkeep costs, then the taxes, and inflation can influence lease pricing. And in this case, higher operational costs for suppliers can lead to increased lease rates for the consumers, which are businesses. Now, we can also see this in real estate market fluctuations as well. If a location is very desirable for a certain business, let's say one example being like urban locations like cities, lease rates will end up rising. And conversely, if demand does fall down for a certain area and for a certain commercial space in an area, this would cause the leasing rate to fall. And landlords would have to lower these rates to remain competitive in the market. And I actually want to show you guys another visual. I want to show you another visual, John, to help you understand. So here we could see that the National Commercial Small Business Lease Index year over year, right? And we can see that over time, the leasing rate has actually been changing. And one example of a downward movement in the leasing rate is in 2008 to 2009 during the financial crisis, right? As a result of different economic trends, it actually ended up affecting the business environment. And so many landlords had to decrease their leasing rate to remain competitive in the market, as I had explained before. Now, the last thing that I want to do is explain the concept of competition. As I just mentioned, landlords had to remain competitive by decreasing their leasing rate at the time, right? And so competition among commercial property owners plays a huge role in shaping the leasing rate. And so Rodriguez Management itself has to continuously analyze these trends to understand where the leasing rate should be set for the short term and for the long term. And so some things that we actually take into consideration is incentives that are being offered by competitors. If competitors are offering discounts for certain businesses of certain sizes, then that would also make them more competitive, and it would incentivize a lot of customers to go towards them. So we'd have to either match that or decrease the leasing rate to remain competitive in the market and still be able to own a share of the market for selling available commercial space. Then we also have to take into consideration the accessibility of the location. So properties in high traffic areas are actually very desirable, such as the city, like I said, for urban locations, right? So higher lease rates would be created there. However, ease of access, parking availability, and proximity to huge hubs is also another factor that a lot of businesses look towards. And that would lead to a lot of demand for certain areas, increasing the lease rate for those certain properties. And the last thing I want to do is consider lease flexibility. So offering short-term lease agreements, tailored lease agreements, and also renewal incentives can help us remain competitive and also have an edge inside this industry. Now, I want to cover some of the questions that you may have, right? So like, how does signing a multi-year lease benefit a business? Essentially, predictable rental costs protect businesses from market fluctuations, and it's very favorable for businesses, as there's stability in the long term for these businesses that don't know what's going to be happening in the economic environment. On top of that, you may have another question like, how does business signing a multi-year lease benefit our company? And it just ensures that we don't have a lot of tenant turnover and we have steady revenue streams, because now these clients would be locked into a contract with us, and regardless of what the economic state is, we would still be able to, have some sort of stable revenue stream coming in for our business. Thank you. Now I'm just going to score this role play. So all we have to do is press start role play, press on Google Drive video, and then I'll just put in this video. Now I'm going to speed up the process for you guys. So here's the role play score. I got a 95, and I lost a point on creativity and overall impression, and then just 1 or 2 points on these 2 performance indicators, but mostly aced the performance indicators. So overall, I did a pretty good job, and yeah. So now I'm just going to reflect a little bit on this role play. In terms of what I did good, I'll definitely say that I nailed these performance indicators down, and I made sure to communicate my ideas very, very clearly. And this was a pretty technical role play with the instructional area of economics. So I made sure to show that my knowledge base was pretty solid in this topic. And I provide examples to back up all the statements that I made. Now, in terms of what I lacked, I would say that I wasn't as creative in this role play. I'm someone who definitely preaches creativity as one of the most important traits that you can show in a role play. But this is a pretty technical role play, I would say, in terms of the instructional area. So I made sure to show that I had a solid base in economics rather than show that I have a knack for creative solutions. And either path is fine when it's more technical of an event. Thank you so much for watching this mock role play. I really hope to see you guys in the next one, and keep practicing.